guys, welcome back to my channel. Just here to do another craft with me, playing around with the Gypsy Rose kit that's available in my Etsy store. So literally thought we'd just come and do a few more little embellishments. If you watched my other video that was a process video working with this kit, I've kind of loosely started an altered book and we did a few little kind of embellishments together. I'm trying to keep these videos to around about half an hour, so I'm just going to get cracking straight on. So I've taken this oval piece, which, you know, I've just kind of obviously cut out, and I'm just going to ink it up. This was all just printed onto white cardstock, so it's not been coffee dyed or anything like that. I have got the coffee dyed pieces, but I still haven't finished actually cutting them out because there's so many pieces. So I'm just going to use kind of the white ones just for this video really. So what I've got here is one of the DL size envelopes, which I've just folded it over so it kind of fits better on a page. And we're just going to kind of make a little pocket from the envelope. So what I'll do, I think, is just kind of stamp a couple of corners, and I'm just going to use this stamp, which, whoops, I've used this before in my videos. And what I like to do is just kind of take a section. I generally quite like this section, and I just ink it up there and just kind of randomly stamp around in the corners. Doesn't have to be perfect, you know, in fact often I think, you know, the less perfect the better. But just so as it looks kind of decorated really. So then what we'll do is glue this piece on. So I'm just going to glue this with the wet glue. I'll just check I have got it up the right way. Yep. It would be just the type of thing that I would then discover I've glued it upside down. So I mean, it wouldn't be the end of the world, but it would be slightly irritating. And because this is a large piece, I'm just literally you know, spreading it out with the card here. Obviously it depends on kind of the shape and the size of the piece that I'm gluing as to whether or not I feel that's necessary. Now what I've done is actually kind of made that a bit wet now, because it was actually a kind of wet wipe that I was using, but still it doesn't matter, it will dry up and we can cover that anyway, because obviously, you know, I don't want it this plain, so we'll just kind of dry that off, and then we're just going to ink up around the envelope now. You know, just so it's kind of got that uniformed appearance really. There we go. And I've brought along some little postage stamps, vintage postage stamps, that I thought went really nicely with the kit. Oh, I just want to show you this one. Never seen this stamp before. I mean, not I'm a stamp collector or anything. I had never really paid any attention to stamps until the junk journaling thing. And then I obviously, you know, have bought a whole batch from car boot sales of vintage stamps. But obviously, you know, I still couldn't recognise most of them. But this one in particular just jumped out at me because it's kind of got a stamp within the stamp. So, you know, you might not really be very interested, but I just thought that was quite a fascinating stamp. So I'm not going to use that because obviously I don't want to use that. So I'm just going to pop that to one side, and I'll just grab one of the more boring looking kind of stamps. To my eye, they might be very nice to other people, I don't know. So I'm just going to kind of ink them up. I mean, they are vintage, as I say, but they've kept their colour pretty well. So they're still kind of quite bright, kind of the ivory colour around the edge, you know, where they're perforated. So I'd like them a little bit older looking than that. So I just thought maybe place them there, and then maybe get a bit of lace. So I've got this is some of that from my nan's neck curtains still. Obviously I have got a lot of that fabric, so hence still using it. But I've actually coffee dyed this piece, so I haven't coffee dyed all of it because actually I sometimes quite like using the white. Of late actually I've often been using the white, but I've just coffee dyed a little section. So just literally roughly cut a little piece out. And then again I've got some other pieces that I've fussy cut from the kit. We could maybe have a little butterfly there. Oops, let me just move some of these bits and bobs out of the way. Or we could kind of pop a postcard on here. That might be kind of appropriate as we've got the stamps. Or we could have one of the gypsy caravans. You know, it's just good fun to have lots of little bits and pieces to play with. So just kind of playing around really, seeing what bits look good. So we've got that. I've also brought along a few little bows that I've made. So I could just pop a bow on there. Just have a look. Got some of this lace trim. This is a kind of crocheted lace, which I'd shown you this kind of last time. It looks like it's been coffee dyed. It hasn't. This was kind of the colour of it to, you know, to begin with, as it was. No, I don't like that there. I've got some ivory lace here, so we could just use the ivory kind of somewhere. So I'll just cut a little section. I'm just going to trim off this kind of edge. I don't always trim off the edges, but I just fancy trimming off the edge of that one. So again, just kind of playing around, kind of trying to place the bits where we actually kind of want them. Got some little faux diamantes here, so we could try a bit of that. I mean, there's no right or wrong, obviously, it's just kind of what looks pleasing to the eye, and to be honest, sometimes I think it looks nice, and then when I come back next time I kind of question it and think, I'm not so sure about that now. Just playing around. I did bring some little flowers, I thought. Can't find them now. So what we could do is get a couple of the flowers from the kit. There's obviously lots of leaves that were included with the kit, so as you can kind of build your roses up, or build your flowers up. You see that I have a rose that I've fussy cut out earlier. I should do, because I have spent a lot of time fussy cutting various elements, but now that I'm here, obviously I now can't find it. Let's just try this little flower instead. I don't know what these flowers are, but they're those kind of dangly, I don't know, I wouldn't like to hazard a guess really at what they are. Freesias maybe? I don't know. Obviously they probably don't look quite right because that's not the right leaf for those flowers, but I don't think it looks too bad, weirdly enough. So maybe kind of like that. Maybe the postage stamp behind, quite like that. Let's just get gluing on, because as I say, I'm trying to keep the videos to a kind of half an hour. You know, I'm not going to do that always. I'm just trying something, really, just a little experiment. I mean, I did talk about this in my other process video from this kit. The problem is with half an hour, you really can't achieve that much, I feel. But I'm just seeing whether kind of you guys actually prefer the shorter videos, because I do realise obviously that half an hour, a whole hour, you know, is a huge kind of amount of time to kind of zap up from your day. So I'm just trying this out really. I mean, obviously if we can't really achieve very much, it might be just, you know, that we'll have to obviously go with longer ones. Now, what I did on my last video was to kind of give it a slightly more raised effect, was I kind of hot glued one of the flowers on. So I'm just going to do that again here. Just gives it a slight bit of dimension, not a lot, but just a slight bit. So just like that, and then could just kind of have a bit of photomonte down there. Maybe over to the side. I quite like it there at the side. Oops, picked up some hot glue now on my wet glue. Pop that there. Oops. I had been dying to play with this kit, so it's really nice to come along and have a play. This is the first time, you know, this and the last video, it's the first time that I actually have been able to play with it. So obviously that's it on a green coloured page, on an ivory coloured page, and oops, on the blue coloured page. I mean, obviously this is an altered book, so I mean this envelope does rather kind of take over the whole page, and there's not an awful lot of the colour left behind it. But you know, just to kind of give you a rough idea really. So that's that piece. I'm just going to move that to one side. So we'll do another one now. I'm going to check how we're doing. Wow, we did that super quickly, 12 minutes. So maybe I am improving and not deliberating so much. Famous last words. Now, this again has just been printed onto the white cardstock, and I have inked this one up already so that we're not just, you know, sat here wasting a lot of time inking it up. So again, I'm just going to kind of layer up a couple of bits and pieces. Now I've brought this little check ribbon along. It's kind of browny goldy colour with blue, and the blue is, funnily enough, the same colour as this blue in this ribbon trim. So I just thought that was quite nice, and I just made a little bow here that I just thought maybe would kind of be kind of cute somewhere. So, you know, we could kind of have it a bit like that. We could have maybe a little suitcase somewhere, or we've got some teeny flowers. Now, you see, I come along to these videos and all my stuff is relatively tidy. I mean, tidy-ish, you know. And then what happens is, obviously, once I get filming, I start rummaging through things, and very quickly things get very messy. And you know, I really don't start out this way. I come along, you know, quite organised, and yeah, it just turns into disarray very, very quickly. So I do apologise. I seem like I'm constantly working in some sort of mess, but well, I am constantly working in some sort of mess, but it kind of doesn't start out that way. It just very rapidly turns that way. You know, within about 4 minutes of starting the video, my things are all kind of just piled up, thrown over to the side. So yeah, right. I don't want to cover up the little motto there because you know, obviously that would be kind of silly. So what I might do, I kind of glue that little postage stamp down. Actually, just before I do, I'm just going to check what it would be like to have things this side. I didn't want to cover up this lady, but but obviously there is a lot more room this side, so you know, and maybe we'll just cover her up. You know, it doesn't really matter, does it? It's not the end of the world if we cover her up. That's quite nice, like that. You know, it might be that that postage stamp is not quite right on there, to be honest. I'm just going to leave that out of the way. Just see if we have a piece of doily. The only thing is that, I mean, obviously it does cover up everything, but it is quite nice on there. So let's just, we kind of had it like that. Again, I'm trying not to cover up the text, but we kind of could have it like that. But strangely enough, when the blue is not against the embellishment itself, I don't feel it necessarily goes with the kit so well. So maybe I won't do that. Let me see what else we have here to the side. We're certainly not short of pieces to use, that's for sure. Got some brown stamps here. I wonder if they would be better. Just tear that in half. Oops. Again, I'll just ink that up because it's not particularly kind of discoloured, if you see what I mean. Now obviously I think I mentioned on the kind of launch of the kits, I do have a variety of coloured leaves, so I could cut out some other leaves that might go better with this particular card. I mean, this one in the middle goes really much better. The only thing is it would then be quite lost in the print, so I actually might just leave it with the kind of brighter leaf, because I think it's quite nice to actually have it standing out a little bit more, if that makes sense. So I think I'll just kind of leave it so as it does stand out a little bit. So I mean, we could just have it like that, to be perfectly honest. I mean, I think for me, I'm used to heavily decorating everything, so this is a struggle for me to obviously not kind of decorate it so much, but I guess that's the whole point of these kits, isn't it? Because obviously a lot of the decorating has been done for you, you know, so you just kind of change things a little bit as you like. You don't have to kind of be starting from scratch, kind of doing everything. So it's kind of operating a bit of restraint, isn't it? You know, which obviously kind of is not what I'm used to doing in a journal situation. So just pop that like that. And then what I did last time was I actually kind of glued this on a bit like, not glued it, sorry, stapled it a bit like a kind of ruffle down the side. So we could do that. Or, I mean, we could actually use a different coloured lace. We don't have to go with the blue at all. So we could use the ivory. Again, probably not with that bow, but I have got kind of some ivory bows here. And then we could even have another little rosebud to the side. That might be quite nice. So I shall just glue this on. I'm really trying to not overthink these things, but I mean, again, a bit like the decorating of the journal, that's not my greatest strength, because you know, I do get a bit hung up on how things are looking. Right, put that out of the way. And then I quite liked this in the corner. I quite liked it because it's kind of facing a different way to the other rows. So it's kind of like they're meeting each other. And actually what I'm going to do is chop this leaf off. so that it's not overhanging so much. So I'm going to just, actually I might hot glue this one. Like that. And then we could have a bit of diamante somewhere, or we could have the bow. So perhaps we'll go for the bow. Actually, perhaps we'll have the bow like that. Looks quite pretty, doesn't it? So there we go. Checking the time. Okay, so I'll just bring the book back just to kind of run that through. So we could have it here on the kind of greeny colour page. We could obviously have it on an ivory page. Or we could have it again on one of the blue pages. You know, looks really nice, I think, on all of those pages. So yeah, again, we'll kind of decide at a later date kind of which page we think is best. So yeah, we'll have a think about that. I might need to trim this one down because obviously this is an altered book, so the pages are slightly kind of narrower than what they would have been in a you know, A4 folded journal. But that's fine because obviously you've got these 3 bits of border, so it can easily be trimmed down at the side. So I'm just going to pop that in there for later, and we've probably got time to do one more piece. So I shall bring through a selection of the pieces. I have got this one which I've already distress inked, so perhaps we'll kind of go with that because obviously that'll be nice and quick and easy. So she says nice and quick and easy. So I kind of think we could just literally pop some lace on there, maybe again, maybe another bow. Oh, I mean, that just looks pretty just like that, doesn't it? Wonder if we need some diamante, because I love using the faux diamante everywhere. And actually it does kind of lend itself to that look, I think, this kit. So I quite like it literally just like that. So without overthinking it, I'm just going to literally glue this on right now. Like that. Now obviously that lace is kind of curling up, which is slightly annoying, but obviously once we kind of glue it into the journal, it won't be. So then we're going to have the bow kind of down here, won't we? So just literally glue the bow with the hot glue. Like that. And then we've got the diamante, which will just kind of pop along there like that. So just move that to one side. Well, hey, look at how quickly we did that. That was great, wasn't it? So again, I'll just pull the journal back and we'll just kind of have a look at kind of places where we could have this. I mean, again, as I say, this was really made for a kind of A4 folded in half kind of journal. So this is quite wide for this altered book. So what I will probably do is trim it down here when I actually come to glue it in. But just to give you an idea, that's it on the blue page, on the ivory page, and on the green. So super cute. So I'm just going to leave that in there. And because we were so quick, I think we can fit another one in. So let's just grab this one rather than kind of, you know, willy-nilly and kind of overthinking kind of which piece to do. I'll just literally ink this one up like that. And then obviously we have a variety of flowers. We could stick a flower on somewhere, or we could just have, again, just some lace trim or something going down the side. You know, always love kind of lace trim, to be honest. This crochet-ish type trim, that's quite nice on this piece. Or obviously the glittery trim, which I've now lost track whether I actually showed this in this video or the last one, because although I'm going to upload these on different days, I did actually film them back to back, you know, so I just was sparing you my endless videos, kind of bombarding you with them in one day. So yeah, anyway, if you hadn't seen it, or if it was in the last video and you haven't seen it, this was white trim glittered that I just coffee dyed, but the glitter, you know, amazingly stayed on through the coffee dyeing process and things, so it's now just kind of coffee dyed glittered ribbon, which is kind of cool, isn't it? So I might just pop that flower there in the side, and then what I'll do, I'll trim the flower off from the back. I don't mind it overhanging, I quite like that look, but not as much as it is. So just here, because this leaf is rather long, I will just trim that off like that. That's better. That's better, I think. And then you know, we could even just have kind of a bit of lace kind of ruffled there or something. I was kind of just trying to mix it up and use different pieces and different laces and things, but sometimes kind of you find that actually what you have been using works kind of best, don't you? But let's see how that blue looks, because I haven't tried the blue against this kind of green background. Quite nice, quite nice. That's quite nice, isn't it? I quite like that as a kind of bit of a different look, because it's not the obvious, you know, it's not kind of what you would obviously choose, which sometimes I quite like that, kind of like going against convention. Now the question is it that I like the idea of it, or is it that it actually looks best? So let's just check. We've got that one, got the blue, or we've got the ivory. Actually, I wonder if we should have the ivory kind of along the top or along the bottom. Just really talking to myself now, I'm afraid. So, you know, just thinking out loud. Doesn't everything just look great as soon as you put the diamante on? You know, I just love it. So I quite like it like that, actually. So what I'm going to do, I will just check that we don't want the blue. No, I don't want the blue on the top. Okay, so what we're going to do is just literally glue this piece on here. So again, I will just glue it down like that. And then I'll just snip the edge off like that. And then I don't know whether we want the diamante running right the way across the top. We might just want a little bit, so I'm just going to bring it down. Maybe just like that, I think is quite nice. So let's use our wet glue here. Like that. Oops. Oops. Wow, I must be covered in glue because I'm just getting things stuck all over me. Just literally every time I pick my hands up, there's things hanging off. So I think that looks really pretty like that. And then we pull the journal back. So again, just to kind of demonstrate, that's it on obviously a green page. Looks really nice. And I would probably then just glue it at the top and the side and have it as a kind of tuck spots, you know, going in underneath. But I'm just having a look again, you know, because my things have all got very messy since coming to do this video. You've obviously got this little butterfly as well, so I mean you could have the butterfly kind of on the page or here kind of on your little pockets. It's quite nice, so I might do that. Let me just see, take it away, put it back. Yep, I shall put it back. So that's it on the green page, and then that's it on the blue. Quite love it on the blue for some reason again, and that's it on the ivory. Oh no, that's blue as well, sorry. I've got an ivory and a blue page, so that just threw me. That's it on the ivory. So, you know, I rather like it on all of those colours, to be honest. I think it looks really pretty. So I'm just going to check the time. Okay, we're up to 31:45, so not too bad for our half-hour kind of videos. So that's probably it for today, and I will be back with more hopefully soon. So thanks very much for watching, and have a great day. Thanks a lot. Bye.